January 1st, 1863. President Abraham Lincoln signs what many call the most important document in American history after the Constitution itself, the Emancipation Proclamation, a document that would supposedly free 4 million enslaved people with a stroke of a pen. But here's the shocking truth. On the day it was signed, it didn't actually free a single enslaved person. So what really happened? To understand this paradox, we need to go back to 1861. The Civil War is raging. The Union is fighting to preserve the nation, but Lincoln faces a delicate balancing act. 4 slave states, Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, and Delaware, remain loyal to the Union. If Lincoln moves too aggressively against slavery, he risks losing them to the Confederacy. Meanwhile, the Confederate states have already seceded. They don't recognize Lincoln's authority. They're not going to obey any order he gives. And that's where the irony begins. Here's what the Emancipation Proclamation actually said. It declared freedom for enslaved people in the Confederate states, the very states that were in rebellion and didn't recognize Lincoln's authority. But it specifically exempted the border states still in the Union, and even certain Confederate areas already under Union control, like parts of Louisiana and Virginia. Think about that for a moment. Lincoln freed enslaved people where he had no power to enforce it, and kept slavery legal where he actually had control. One senator at the time mockingly said it was like the Pope's bull against the comet, meaningless words against something beyond your reach. So why did he do it? Because Lincoln was playing a much longer game. The proclamation was a military strategy disguised as a moral declaration. First, it transformed the war. Now this wasn't just about preserving the Union, it was about human freedom. That made it nearly impossible for Britain and France, who had abolished slavery, to support the Confederacy. Second, it invited enslaved people in Confederate territory to escape to Union lines. And crucially, it authorized the recruitment of black soldiers into the Union Army. By the war's end, nearly 200,000 black men had joined the fight, tipping the scales toward Union victory. Third, and most importantly, it set the stage. Once the war was won, Lincoln knew he'd need a constitutional amendment to truly end slavery everywhere. The proclamation was the first step in that journey. So when did enslaved people actually become free? It happened in stages. As Union armies advanced through the South, they brought freedom with them. In Texas, enslaved people didn't learn about the proclamation until June 19, 1865, more than 2 years after it was signed. But legal, permanent freedom came on December 6, 1865, when the 13th Amendment was ratified, finally abolishing slavery throughout the entire United States. That's when the promise of the Emancipation Proclamation became reality. Lincoln didn't live to see it. He was assassinated 8 months before the amendment was ratified. But his proclamation had done its job. It had changed the character of the war and made the complete abolition of slavery inevitable. So, did the Emancipation Proclamation actually free the slaves? Not immediately, not directly, but it set in motion the events that would. Sometimes the most powerful documents aren't the ones that change everything in a single moment, but the ones that make change inevitable. The Emancipation Proclamation was Lincoln's promise. The 13th Amendment was its fulfillment, and together they transformed America.